Tada! Welcome to the Allcast podcast, the voice of future straight to your ears. I'm your host Tanmay M. Today I'm with the editor of Genius Generations, Mr. Kanishka V. Today we'll have a discussion on metaverse, the future of metaverse, and the economics of metaverse. I'm glad to invite you, Mr. Kanishka.
And even I'm glad to be here, Mr. Tanmay. Even I'm
Yes,
glad to be
so
here.
Yes, so my first question is basically, according to you, what is the basic definition for the metaverse?
In the broadest terms, the metaverse is understood as a graphically rich virtual space with some degree of where people can work, play, shop, and socialize. In short, do anything humans can do in real life, but but you can do all of these things in the metaverse. This term was coined by Neil Stephenson in his 1992 novel Snow Crash to describe a virtual world in wide use in his imagined future, a 21st century dystopia. The metaverse here is a virtual reality world depicted as a planet encircling market where virtual real
Yeah.
estate can be bought and sold, and where VR goggle wearing users inhabit 3D avatars whose form they have freedom to choose.
Yes.
Yes, that's it.
Well, what are your views about that Facebook turning into Meta, and what are their future plans? Do you think about?
Well, basically, it is a good idea on some behalf of the Facebook and the other companies, because that way it can be a kind of good way to grip on with the metaverse and catch on with it, so that it won't be a weird concept for us later on. That like, what is the metaverse and how does it work? This way, it will help us gradually move on, letting us switch to the metaverse and into real life. We can just cycle between both of them.
Yes, and also a recent news that about the Nike, the shoe company.
Mhm.
It sells about the 16,000 crores of virtual shoes in metaverse. Is that a positive or a negative sign to the meta world?
Nike doing this, which is selling NFTs or non-fungible tokens, basically is like a kind of, how do you say that? A status of richness in the metaverse. Because in real life, if you buy such a shoe, well, people would think, oh wow, what kind of a person he is, how rich he is. In the metaverse, it is the equivalent. Here, in the metaverse, people can see that and be like, wow, he is rich to have such shoes.
Oh, yes, I can understand. It's like just like Apple as a status symbol in the real life and Nike as the virtual symbol.
Not only Nike, there is a kind of there is an NFT called the Bored Ape, where basically it's just a picture of a ape in different avatars and stuff. So
Oh, yes, yes.
having that is like a kind of sign that you are rich in the metaverse. In real life,
Okay.
maybe not as much, but it is valuable.
Yes, I understand. And
Yes.
another question is metaverse new or it was from the old back time?
Oh no, it's obviously not, because it has been around for 30 years, not in just a fictional form. It has been formed as a part of corporate visions of the future for some time. During the first VR boom of the 90s, UK grocery chain Sainsbury put together a VR shopping demo that's eerily similar to a video that Walmart made in 2017, which is horrifying. Hype pieces
Yes.
of people getting married in the metaverse will elicit a sigh of recognition from anyone who has followed online gaming for the past few decades. Because in here, the most famous virtual worlds and perhaps the closest to the metaverse ideal is Second Life, which launched in 2003. It resembles an early O's, double O's, massively. Yeah, so virtual marriages and all that can happen in a game called Second Life, which launched in 2003. It resembles something like a massively multiplayer online role playing game like World of Warcraft. So it has which has everything. It fulfills Second Life fulfills many of the roles imagined for the metaverse of the future, and has done so since its launch. Users have avatars and hang out in virtual spaces. They enjoy such virtual versions of the real world stuff like business meetings, clubbing, and others. They can create their own content and then they can trade it on another. There's a virtual economy with its own currency which can be exchanged with real world currency. Second Life can be considered a textbook to the extent that such a thing exists.
Okay. And also there was a recent thing that in February, couple married virtually, and there was one advantage that who are not alive in the real world could also go in that only one link was sent, and the people used to join that, and that was the first virtual marriage done in India.
Ah, yes, that can also be helpful. Well, because attending would obviously have a bit of problems considering the pandemic we live in right now. But
Yes, yes,
having that also is again like a way we as Indians can adjust to the metaverse.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
So
So,
yes.
now in the current situation, why is everyone suddenly talking about the metaverse?
Okay. So basically, the metaverse is being talked about by everyone because of the many things that have helped it grow into the things that we have now. One example is the sorry. The one example is the vision of virtual reality, which was obviously taking its first steps in the show mentioned earlier, Snow Crash, and now it is a reality. We can buy many headsets that allow us to do so. One such example is the Quest made by Oculus. Now, Facebook's purchase of Oculus in 2014 had already given us an indication of where Zuckerberg was headed with his business. Now,
Yes,
another significant reason why is also something called the blockchain, because here it is an incomprehensible and energy hungry train that has made things such as cryptocurrencies and NFTs possible. Yes.
yes. Yes, as the metaverse is trending nowadays, so do you think that Elon Musk just recently brought Twitter, and will he insert metaverse in the Twitter in the competition of Facebook Meta?
Well, Twitter is a bit different of a concept because it is like just words. It's mostly like an opinion app. So, inserting the metaverse into this, I don't think it will be Elon Musk's plan. Even
Okay.
it wouldn't even suit the the status of Twitter. It would just become something dead there.
Yes, and the next question goes is isn't metaverse just games we can play games and buy some virtual gifts, etc.?
Oh no, it's not. Who thinks so? Well, if you can think of Microsoft, then yes, they have bought Activision Blizzard for $70 billion. And the CEO, Satya Nadella, commented that when we think about our vision for what a metaverse can be, we believe there won't be a single centralized metaverse, and there shouldn't be. We need to support many metaverse platforms. In gaming, we see the metaverse as a collection of communities and individual identities anchored in strong content franchises, accessible on every single device. Well, it was possible that Nadella was just throwing shareholders the buzzword of the day in the hope. So it basically means that, well, the metaverse isn't just video games. Well, according to Satya Nadella, it is. And according to him again, it's already around us everywhere. It's just persistent communities that have them, that where people want to be, like Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. Yes.
Yes, so there's also a recent news that You may be knowing the Visa Mastercard company.
Ah, yes, a bit.
Yes, it files IS trademark application for a wide range of metaverse and NFT services.
Huh, interesting. Well, I kinda don't know about what that means, but all I can say is, well, that's kind of good and bad.
Like it will be in the real world by the card you would be able to transfer the NFT services.
Oh, well, that's kind of a bit of a, downgrade, and it's kind of an upgrade as well because they're going into the NFT as well.
Okay, so recently two lockdowns we met, and the school was totally online. So what about you say? Should it be continued as digital education?
Digital education will have its own problems. Well, it should and shouldn't be because digital education will has its own problems like internet, the kind of things you have, and the supplies you have. But if you go to the school, everybody will be active, and there is no, delay on anything.
Okay. So there are also some metaverse talks like companies working on metaverse in India like Infosys, HCL, Zsys, Tech Mahindra, Accenture, and etc. Is it the right time to invest there?
Well, I don't think you should, but it would be a good move if there is no dip. But if there is one, you should definitely invest a bit.
Okay. So here we end today's podcast. Thank you for listening it. Your host Tanmay M in All Cast Podcast. Thank you.
Thank